Next, I want to talk about the client experience machine at your firm. You really put a lot of emphasis on this, and I want to just talk. What are the elements of a successful client journey? How has that evolved over time at your firm?
That's a wonderful question. The most important aspect of the client experience at our firm is education and communication. I'd say if I had to give one, it'd be education. If you would give me two, I'd say education and communication. Starting off, we really think it's important that our clients understand what to expect in the whole process. So in our very first meeting, we let them know this is what is going to happen. These are the steps that we need to take to work on your case. And we are going to be checking in with you throughout the process so that you know at all times what's going on. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but the number one complaint at the state bar is attorneys who don't respond to their clients and don't get back to them. And it was instilled in me really early, you need to get back to your clients. And so having that open lines of communication through text messaging, through emails, I mean, we can get in touch with anybody anywhere in this day. So if you're not getting back to your clients, they get upset. They say, hey, what's going on? They get concerned. And our whole goal here is to shoulder the responsibility of their case so that they don't have to worry, so that they can get back to living their life and getting better and getting bauld to what's important. So we start with the first initial meeting, kind of breaking down the whole process. And then the subsequent communications could be as simple as an email. Hi, we just filed a lawsuit. The defendant has 30 days to answer. Discovery is coming up next. Here's what to expect. And what we've seen is that it builds credibility with the client. And by the time we get to a settlement conference, or when it comes time to a crucial decision, should we resolve the case? Should we go forward to trial? The client already has the confidence in us and the education to know what direction to take. And what I have heard, and I hear this secondhand because we have a lot of clients that come to us from other lawyers, and the client comes in and says, I didn't really talk to a lawyer. I didn't really understand what was going on. I wasn't prepared for my deposition. The worst I've heard this many times, we get to a settlement conference and the number that I'm going to end up with, well, it's the first time that I'm hearing about it, or that I have to pay my health insurance. And so I think having all those steps in place and having meetings before settlement conferences, preparing a client for deposition, all those things, what they accomplish is a few things. One, it establishes a rapport with your client. I, as the lawyer, want to work harder for someone that I like and I care about and I believe in. The client then has a rapport with you that they trust you to make the best decisions for them, and that you have their interests above your own, which is another thing I'm seeing is a lot of lawyers have the opposite. They want their interest above the interest of their clients. And that's really unfortunate. So having that communication throughout the life of the case and being available for the clients and their questions, that's really, I think, what is key for having a good attorney-client relationship.
Yeah, I'd imagine, and we all know how critical those reviews are and referrals and the name of the game. If they trust you, they feel like the experience was good, they're going to tell other individuals about their experience. But if they didn't have a good experience, they're not going to leave that review or tell other people about your firm.
We've had a lot of clients come in and I say, how did you get to us? And they said, we read your reviews and they were real. And we could tell that they were palpable. We felt from the review itself that we experienced what your client experienced, which is always surprising to me. And it's happened many times. And I think it's because when we have clients that sign up with us and give us the responsibility to represent them, because it is a huge responsibility, we feel that they become a part of our we call it our GFFF family, that they become part of us. And I always tell them this is a long-term relationship. It's not a short-term one. And we have clients come back to visit us. We have clients that check in with us just to let us know how they're doing. And I think if you establish those real relationships, you will be successful. And that's something going back to my dad. He taught me that if you take care of your clients and you care about them and you put in the time, energy, and effort to do the best possible job that you can do for them, and you do it for them and not for you, the money will come. and the work will be there. And my dad has been doing it for a long time. He doesn't advertise really on Google. He doesn't advertise on Yelp. He just has that as an experience. So I think it's been an invaluable lesson for me.
That's the thing that no one talks about is the compounding of relationships and that relationship equity and how it comes into play. Just over time, it builds and builds, and it becomes an actual force. And that's where you get those extremely low case acquisition costs or zero case acquisition costs. And that's what it's all about. I just, real quick before we move on to, I want to talk about some boots on the ground type of tactics that you guys do. But before we do that, do you guys use any tools, just rapid fire tools or software that kind of facilitates this user experience?
Yeah, so we recently took on a case management software called FileVine. And we were using another program for a long time, and it just was antiquated, and it wasn't really doing everything we wanted to do. You'll be shocked to hear this, but I could not check my Outlook calendar, for example. I never knew what was going on. I have a printed paper calendar, communicating with our clients through texting and through other means. We didn't really do that. And keeping track of just communications going in and out was pretty cumbersome. And we relied heavily on paper and paper folders and paper files. And so we decided during the pandemic, like a lot of firms, we had the great pause, right? We had the great opportunity to kind of think about what it is, why we do what we do, and what we can do to do things better. And one of the ways that we realized that we need to be better is by making things more efficient. FileVine also allows you to automate a lot of the discovery and create templates that you can send out. So that was one tool that we took on that has been very helpful. And just really, we already had a lot of systems in place. And I'm my partner and I, Chantel, who's wonderful, she's the brains behind our systems. We really had systems in place for pre-litigation, litigation, automating certain things, like we said, communications to our clients, and having a procedure so that we did it on every case, so that we didn't have a different procedure on different cases. It was the same procedure, consistency. And the reason that's important is if you don't have a checklist, or if you don't have a procedure, things get lost. And we had it maybe 10 years ago where I would be 6 months into a case, and all of a sudden I realized I was missing crucial documents. And we didn't get them from the insurance company, our client's insurance company, when we first signed up the case. So I think we were lucky. And so we just took some of the same systems we already had in place and put it into a kind of an up-to-date program. And that has been really helpful in, again, kind of making us more accessible. Zoom obviously has been incredibly crucial, and has allowed us to do a lot of meetings and mediations and depositions. And now we have a case going to trial in the fall, and it's going to be via Zoom. So it's a different world we live in, but I think all these changes are good ones.
Yeah, I think, technology is really advanced, especially through COVID. The other thing is, I always think of, anytime we talk about checklists or processes, I always think about those traveling situations where I'm going on the airline and I'm like, I'm thankful that they're doing their run-up checklists and their different checklists to start. Like, I want them to pull out that card and go through it. Geez, I don't want them to just, maybe pilots flew for 20, 30 years, but geez, I'm just glad that they're following the checklist. The same for the medical profession. So certainly relevant to legal too.